So today we have an interesting story about someone's family from a guest of ours, but we'll go ahead and let him tell that story himself.
All right, everybody. Nice to be on here. Today I have a story that my mom told me a while back. It's about a lady named Eugenia La Bruja, which is basically Eugenia the witch, but it's better known as she's the Spanish skinwalker. So this story takes place in Imuri, Sonora, which is a little border town right over here by Arizona. And the whole story goes that everybody really knew her as she was a witch. Everybody knew that she was able to turn into different creatures. The three most common ones she would turn into would be a black bear, a giant owl, or a big black dog. And I have a couple stories relating to that. So the first story is the most common one. Down by where my mom lived with her with her mother and her father and all her siblings, there was like an empty wash, like a dried out river basically. And what Eugenia would do is she would go and she would do like a somersault into the river, and then she'd get up and just like run off, and then she'd do that 2 or 3 times. And on the third time, she went and she threw herself, and it made a cloud of dust. But when the dust settled, she wasn't anywhere to be found. What everybody saw was a black cat just running away. It's pretty weird.
That is trippy.
It is. People said that she would do that very often. That'd be like one of her more like well known. Like whenever they'd see like the black cat, they'd be like, "Well, there she goes."
So was it always in the same area, or did like where she was at kind of vary and wander a little bit?
Well, the whole thing was that the wash spanned for like a mile, but she would always be around like the same couple of houses because she wasn't a good person at all. So just some background on her. She was she had these gray eyes, like all the way around, like the iris of the eye and the pupil. The whole thing was gray.
Kind of like a walker?
Sorta, yeah, yeah, something like that. But she had like dark gray, like the grayish eyes, and then she had the like, brownish skin. But a lot of people said that she had like an animalistic look to her, like midway between like a human and like a dog. Yeah, she wasn't a very attractive woman.
Doesn't sound like it.
No, but some background. She actually had her daughter indoctrinated into las bailarinas blancas, which is basically she sold her daughter into prostitution.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, she wasn't a really good lady. A lot of people said she was really bad. And one of the things about her was that she had a thing for Eduardo Bojorquez, which is my grandfather.
Oh, okay.
So
she was kind of digging in.
Yeah, she was sniffing around.
Fair enough.
So the next story is so the part of where my mother lived with her siblings and my grandfather and my grandmother, their house was fairly small. So all the kids had to sleep outside, and one of the adults would sleep outside with them just to make sure that they were okay, like on the little porch.
Yeah.
But every night that it was my grandfather's turn to sleep outside, they would hear an owl, like on a power line, like right by where they were always at. And the way it would sound is, my mom told me it was always recognizable. That you would hear like the wing flapping of like a giant owl.
Oh, jeez.
And yeah, and but the flapping wouldn't sound like flapping; it would sound like somebody clapping their hands. And the hooting would sound like it was calling out for Eduardo. And yeah, so that's
trippy.
Yeah, and my mother said she actually saw it once, like in the middle of the night. And my grandfather went to go check it out to see what was happening, and he said it was a larger than regular owl.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but she said without fail, every night that it was my grandfather's turn to be outside with them, that she would always pop up, and that's pretty trippy.
Yeah, I'd be scared out of my mind if that happened.
Oh, let's catch that owl.
I mean, you could try, but then, it seems like she'd try to murder you in your sleep.
Yeah, it's one of two things. It was either a spooky witch or she was trying to get her acceptance letter to Hogwarts.
I mean, you never know.
So the next story is one of the more frequent forms that she would take, besides the cat or the owl, would be the black bear, which is actually pretty strange to see a bear running around border town Mexico.
Yeah, that doesn't seem fitting. You think bear, you think of, some mountainous region.
Yeah, no, this, Imoris isn't fairly mountains, it's just houses and, field. But, this next one is, so she used to turn into the bear, and she would go into, fields, and she would steal food, which would be the most common thing. Because, Ugelia wasn't an overly rich woman. She was fairly modest. She'd always wear just plain black. Everybody said that they would see her just in the black dress, black, the long black socks, and the black heels. Very witch-like,
Yeah, no, that's, that's straight, Salem witch.
Oh, yeah, that's straight haunted her there. But, the whole thing was she would turn into a black bear and she would go into this one farmer's field. And the whole thing with the farmer was that he was always beefing with Ugelia. They always had, issues. He'd always say that she was the bear. He knew that she was the bear. Just the way that the bear acted. And Ugelia would always try to make it seem like he was crazy. Oh, no, you're insane. It's people can't turn into animals. But at this point, everybody in the town knew that she was basically, she's evil.
Yeah, she's Satan reincarnate.
Pretty much, man. And one day, what he had decided to do was he grabbed his rifle, and he had gone and he talked to one of his friends, which was a priest in the nearby town of Magdalena. And he said, well, there isn't really much you can really do about it. It's just pray over it. But the more extremist route would be you can carve crosses into the bullets. Because apparently that's something that would kind of harm the brujas over there. Because they're even though they do have their dark roots in magic and whatnot, they still strictly believed in the deep roots of Catholicism. Yeah, it's crazy, but
yeah, that's weird.
They're evil, but they have the guideline of Christ is still the top force. And yeah, so what he decided to do was he grabbed a couple rounds and he carved little crosses into the tips. So he was waiting for Ugelia to go, and he pretty much knew she'd pop up because the thing she would steal the most would be his potatoes.
Yeah.
His potatoes. But yeah, he was waiting for her, and she, just on time, she came up like she always did. And he shot at her, but he didn't know where he hit her, but the bear just ran off. He followed it for a bit, but when he hit the little streets, because the streets aren't very well lit, when he hit the streets, he completely lost the bear. How do you lose a giant black bear is my whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, even on a dark lit road, a bear is going to stand out. It's not something that just comes and then, oh, nope, gone.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Are you a huge cunt?
Us too. Wait, can we even say cunt?
Of course! It's empowering these days. Cunt, 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 cunt. I'm Ange Ballastone, aka the drag queen, That Girl Gina.
And I'm Mike Fales, just a normal gay guy, I guess?
And we're the hosts of The Big Cunty Couch.
A gorgeous new talk show podcast where we invite queers and peers to sit, bitch, and be fierce on a huge-ass couch.
While we gab about all things gay.
So come get cozy.
And cunty.
With us. We're panned for platforms, so find us anywhere online and get listening, sweetie.
Or watching.
Or both.
Otherwise, why the hell am I in full drag?
And we'll see you on the big Oh, wait. I thought we were going to say that together.
No. On the Big Cunty Couch. Mwah.
Yeah, so that was the whole thing, and he had gone and he was telling everybody. It's oh yeah, I'm pretty sure I got her. He's I heard it hit. I heard the bear fucking scream or growl, and then it was gone. So nobody saw Ugelia for a week and a half. And when she did pop up, she popped up at the little tianguis, which is the little half swap meet, half market that they do.
Yeah.
And she had her arm in a sling, bandaged. And my mother and my grandmother had asked her what had happened. What happened? Because they're trying to pry to see if she would say like, "Oh, I got shot or I got stabbed or something like that."
Yeah.
She said she got hit by a car, which is
You think there'd be more damage than just, oh, my arm hurts.
yeah, it's like they only got my arm. But no, that's the whole thing. So at that point, so the way the stories went down would be, first it was the black cat story, where people were starting to like hear about it, and then it was the owl story, where my grandmother would start talking to everybody and be like, "Well, this is what's going on." It's like it never happens when I'm outside. It only happens when Eduardo's outside. And my grandfather would he'd be like, "Yeah, it's like we've seen the giant owl. It's like it's too big to be like an actual owl." It's like, I don't know what it is. And it's like, and it doesn't sound human.
Yeah.
And the third one was the last story that everybody heard was the bear one. So by that time, it expanded maybe like a year or two where all this stuff was happening. So everybody was already acquainted with, like, they knew what it was. Like, they knew what had happened. And Ugelia doesn't have a very happy ending to her story. The way my mother told me is one day they just ended up they found her body. That
Oh, really?
yeah, I guess a couple of townsfolk had just had it with her, like, demonic stuff. Because Mexico, it's not a place where there is like heavy spots of like Satanism and Luciferianism, but for the most part, people don't really tolerate that. Like, they're not very like open-minded towards religion.
Yeah,
They're,
it's not like, oh, just practice, whatever you want, you'll be fine, go ahead.
Yeah, no, they're just like strict Catholics. So like if they see something like dark forces, they will take it into their hands. They're like old school, like ranchers. Like, we don't want demonic witch bears coming and stealing our crops.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
So they stumbled upon Ugelia's body, and I guess a couple of townsfolk took it upon themselves, and they thought the right thing to do was their fitting end was to be burned. Yeah.
True witch's end, burning.
Not in the stake. They just burnt her alive, and they left the body in one of the fields for people to find. And since everybody was like a smaller community there, nobody really bothered to investigate it. Nobody really missed her, because the only person she really had was her daughter, and which she had already sold into prostitution. So I don't know if there'd be too much concern for her.
Yeah, kind of at that point. I mean, it doesn't sound like anyone's gonna miss her at all, even her daughter.
No, and there's still a legend that says that one of the cemeteries, it's actually the same place where my grandfather and my grandmother are buried. God bless their souls. But there's a small little unmarked grave where everybody says that's where Ugelia is buried. And the funny thing about that is, a couple years back, that cemetery had Satanists were breaking in and stealing like bones for like rituals.
Yeah.
And the only grave that they wouldn't touch was that one. Like a whole bunch of graves like around that little area, but that one grave was untouched.
That's a little weird. Although, if that has spread around that it is her grave, then of course no one's gonna mess with a grave of, a witch.
Yeah, because you thought if a skin-walking bear, owl, cat hybrid isn't terrifying enough, just imagine a zombie bear.
Yeah, that would be absolutely terrifying.
Going around stealing potatoes.
I don't think anybody would know what to do at that point.
Yeah, but I always thought it was kind of weird, like the kind of like comparison to like the skinwalker legends of like in the United States.
Yeah.
Compared to like the ones in like in Mexico. Because in Mexico, it's just like a bad witch who picked it up like somewhere, like they figured out how to do it. But in like the Native Americans, they think it's like a medicine doctor that's just out to do harm.
Yeah.
Or like a witch doctor. And I actually have a guy who I know who told me another story, kind of relating to Skinwalker, since we're on the same subject right now.
Yeah, no, definitely.
This one takes place in Globe, Arizona.
Oh.
Just kind of same area, yeah. It's around a park called Las Cruces. So basically what it is how he described it to me. It's like a long span of desert. And what it is, it's like a little hill with a bunch of like white crosses, like big stone white crosses. And downhill from that, maybe like, I want to say he said like 100 feet from it.
Yeah.
is a little stone house that wasn't completed. But what he would do, him and his brother and his friends, they'd go down to the little house and they'd graffiti it and they'll drink in there and they'll just like, listen to music. And that's basically how they spent their Friday, Saturday nights. And
Typical, like, teenager type stuff.
yeah, pretty much, just vandalizing stuff, having fun.
Yeah.
And he was telling me that one time, him and his brother, well, the last time they had ever visited it, they had gone. I think he said it was like October, November, around that area. It's like mid-October, mid-November. It's one of the two. But they were out drinking. It was like about like 2, 3 in the morning, and they decided to go into the little house just to mess around in there. So when they got into the house, they started drinking, just chilling, them two. And they started hearing howling, like, around the building. Like, they were inside the building, but they heard the howling, like, coming, like, from different spots around the building.
Yeah.
Kind of like they were being circled, is what he was saying.
Coyote pack.
Yeah, that's what I thought, too, at first. So, yeah, he was saying he heard the howling, and he said that he heard, like, the little, like how they're running around the building.
Yeah, like
he
the
thought it was,
pitter-patter of the footsteps.
yeah, he thought it was probably like some stray dogs or something. So they look out the window and all they see is like the little glowing red eyes around the building. They're like actively circling the building like, no, you're not going anywhere. You're staying in here.
Yeah.
And yeah, so they try to time it out so they like when whatever it was went around the building, they could make a run out through the front. So they eventually did. They made it to run up the front. They were running up the hills, and they still heard their howling around the building, like it wasn't moving from the building.
Yeah.
And when they eventually made it to the top of the hill where the crosses were, they decided to look down, and they didn't see anything. They pulled out a little flashlight that they had in their pocket, and through one of the windows in the front, they saw a dude just smiling at them, like real creepy, like.
Oh, what the hell?
Yeah, so I always asked him, like, you don't think it was just like some guy messing with you, right? He's like, no. I was like, we looked around the building. It's like when we heard the howling come around through the windows, like we saw that it was something smaller. It couldn't have been a human. It's like had to be like some kind of like dog, coyote, or something. But he always said that they never went back to that area because a lot of people they started seeing that as well, and they started hearing like more legends around. Be like it's more like a skinwalker kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which personally, I think it's terrifying.
Well, and I mean that's the thing too, because if there's beings, whatever you want to call them, people, things that were people, you know, whatever they're classified as, that can actually do that kind of stuff, that's absolutely, yeah, terrifying, dangerous. Like, I mean, what, if you look at it in an aspect of, okay, well, to get that and be able to do that, what are you giving up?
Yeah, like what do you have to do to be able to gain that ability?
Yeah.
Because some cultures, they'll think like the Wendigo is kind of like a skinwalker kind of thing, but that's like when you eat flesh.
Mm-hmm.
But the witch doctors are just people are just like generally bad people that just want to harm.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that's as much as I've done research into it. But in Spanish is basically just like the brujas, which they'll eventually come upon that ability where they can do stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of brujas, they have like they used to be like curanderas, which would be like the healers that they use that like the knowledge of stuff like that to like heal people. And my stepdad actually used to go to a curandera every once in a while to help out because he had like a growth on his like ankle.
Yeah.
And it was really painful, but they'd make like so much money just doing that stuff. But you have to start thinking, it's like after like money isn't enough, why would you want to be able to like I get it sounds like a cool ability, like being able to turn like to a giant dog and mess with people.
Yeah.
But like at what point do you think like, hey, this money isn't enough, like I want to be able to do like evil shit?
Yeah, one, you know, again, that's where too, like when that transformation, that ability, whatever you want to call it, is discovered, is found, are you even still you at that point, or are you just whatever
Like
power is given to you that's just taken over?
Yeah, like what are you giving up to be able to do that? Because if you're able to do that, I don't think like you'll be in your sane mind. Like with Ukelia, everybody used to say that she wasn't like all there, like she was crazy.
Yeah.
Like, she would do stuff just to, like, harm people. Like, even in the animal forms, like I said, the bear would, like, it would steal, like, just the food.
Yeah.
And, the owl would go after my grandfather, who was a married man, and he had, kids. And it's just crazy to think people can, like, give up. Like, I'm at this point, I'm assuming you're giving a part of your soul to be able to do something like that. Because to be able to have that kind of ability doesn't come, like, scot-free. Like,
Nothing is free.
oh yeah, no, definitely not. But yeah, there's a bunch of, like, stories about, like, stuff in Mexico, which is, like, terrifying. And in the same little area, I mean, if you don't mind, can I throw another story out there?
Oh, definitely.
In the same little area, because my grandfather had bought a couple lots of, like, land, and he'd given them over to his children so they can, like, build in the area, so they can build, like, their own homes and get started and whatnot. So
Yeah.
the way the setup was, the family house was, like, on the main little lot. Next to it was my aunt's, and on the same little lot off to the side was my mother's. And she had built a house with the money her first husband had left her, my oldest brother and sister's father.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is, everybody said that little area was haunted, that somebody had died there and they buried. But they had built over it. Like, when they started digging, nobody found anything, so they thought it was just, like, people just saying stuff.
Yeah, making up stories.
Yeah. But even as I was maybe, like, 4 or 5, I could remember spending time in that house, and I never wanted to be in that house. I didn't know why, but I just hated that house.
Did you ever, like, hear or see anything?
Oh yeah, I'll get to that. Pretty much everybody in the family saw stuff. So my mother, she would always see a shadow figure in the house. Like, she would follow it, like, into a little carport that we had. So the way that Mexico houses are built, it's the house, and then, like, right next to it, it's like a stone wall with the little roof connecting to the house, and that'd be the carport. And she would always see, like, a shadow that would walk through there, and then she'd always follow it, and she'd always tell me this stuff, like, when I got older. And it was terrifying, because, like, I thinking back on it now, it's like every one of my siblings had seen stuff in there. Like, my oldest brother actually lived in that house for a while, and he said that when he'd fall asleep in his room, he'd wake up to a different room. Like, he'd wake up in the middle of the night, and everything in his room wouldn't be his things.
Yeah.
Like, it's like you fall asleep in a blue room with Bambi sheets, and you wake up in a white room with velvet red sheets, and you start thinking, because you hear footsteps coming towards you, and that's when you'd always fall asleep. And yeah, my oldest sister, she always used to hear our dishes being thrown on the ground, and every time she'd go into the kitchen, everything be fine. And that's pretty much the whole thing. Is like, it's terrifying, because, like, you know, like, you hear the stories around there, but you don't want to, like, believe this stuff, because this is the house you're living in. This is, like, where you have to be. But I always remember my mom would try to get us over there, and I'd never want to go over. I was, like, straight up crying, like, I don't want to.
I won't do this. Don't make me.
Exactly. We also had a giant tree on the property that me and my sister, not the oldest one, but she's still older than me by a couple of years, by 2 years. We would climb on the tree, and we would just jump off the branches. Like, we'd go as high as we can and just jump down. And one day, she had jumped off first, and then I was jumping behind her, but I lost my balance. And I fell down, and one of the, like, thick branches of the tree where I had been cut, it grabbed me by the shirt, like, it caught me. And I was just hanging there, I was choking. And
Yeah.
I felt like somebody grabbed me by my shirt, picked me up, and just kind of, like, dropped me down. And I thought it was her, but she's like, no. I was just still running around the tree to get back on. And I mean, it's kind of terrifying, like, because you can never really tell if it's, like, something that's inhabiting the home.
Yeah.
If it's, like, a good spirit or a bad spirit, because sometimes it might just want attention, like, I want to be known that I'm here as well. But, yeah, there's a lot of places just in that little town of Imuris where there's a lot of things are, like, pretty haunted. Like, a lot of things that happen. Like, my uncle, he has a little property, so it's the main road that runs through Imuris. and it runs through like the fields and all that. But his property is maybe like 2 miles off the main road with no houses around.
Yeah.
And my mom would always tell me stories that his property, when you go down it, it's like mountain around, and like he has a giant, like, I want to say maybe like 4 acres of land that he owns, going down like a little valley.
Yeah.
And at the back of the valley, there's a little creek, and then there's a tree by, like a giant tree by the creek. And he lives in a little one house, no electricity, like nothing, so it's terrifying.
Yeah, why would you have no electricity?
That's just a thing, dude. Old Mexican people, they don't believe in electricity, man. It's like, I got a candle, I'll burn that right now.
I mean, whatever works. Minus candles can be blown out by ghosts.
Exactly. But I know he's like a rancher, but he ain't scared of nothing. But they...
Or so he says.
Exactly. That's all he says till the ghost pops out. But we had driven there, and we would never spend the night there because my mom knew it was terrifying. But they always used to tell stories that there was the creek right there. They used to they drowned witches like in upstream from the creek. So my oldest brother, when he was living over there, he had told me a story where my uncle had gotten very sick one day, and my aunt had sent him and one of my cousins to go drop medicine off, but they didn't have a car, so they're walking this.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, it's stupendous. And they didn't time it out right, so by the time they got to my uncle's house, it was maybe like 6 in the afternoon.
Oh, geez. Starting to get dark.
Yeah, so they had stayed and they had talked to him. And my uncle had told him, was like, you guys gotta hurry up and cut through the property. And he was like, why? And then he was just telling him about the story of, like, they had drowned this angry witch because kids were disappearing around, like, the little town. And everybody blamed her for it.
Yeah.
As you would. There's a witch in town, you kids go missing, you blame the witch.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to blame anything else when that's what you know.
You don't blame the baker.
No.
So, yeah, they had gone and they were talking to my uncle, so by the time they were leaving, it was maybe like 8. So it was already dark.
Yeah.
So they're cutting through the property, and like I said, it is maybe like 4 or 5 acres that he owns, and the house is like right in the middle, like dead smack in the middle. So they decided to walk, just playing around, and they'd be like, "Oh, the wet witch is behind you," because that's what they call her. She's the drowned witch, but
Yeah.
they call her the wet witch, and then it's like, "She's behind you," and then kids just scaring each other and whatnot, teenagers. But then when they passed the creek, they heard like splashing around the creek. And like I said, there's no light.
Yeah. No way to see anything.
Yeah, so my brother said that then like all of a sudden, like after the splashing had stopped, you can smell like, you know when you wet clothes and you leave it out and it starts smelling kind of like moldy, sort of?
Yeah.
They smelled that, and then they heard something like running right after them. And this valley isn't like grass, this valley is like rock and dirt, like desert valley.
Yeah, so you could hear every footstep.
Exactly. And it was heavy footsteps. I was running behind them. So they take off running and start sprinting. They hit the property fence and they start jumping it. And when they jump over, they turn around to look, and they just see something like in the distance, just like retreating back to where the little creek is. So then they have to make that little mile and a half walk back to the main road. They eventually get to my aunt's house, and she tells them to pray on a rosary and not to be making fun of spirits.
Yeah, I mean, that's always a good rule of thumb, to generally leave spirits be. You know, if you want to try and communicate, fine, but never harass, never make fun of, never say anything bad about.
Yeah, well, then there's also the things like what happens when like something that's already like in the paranormal dies. Like when a witch dies, does she just become a ghost? Does she become something else? Which is the whole thing.
Very true. Could become a demon.
That's the whole thing, man. You never know, because they didn't know what would happen like if they got caught by by the drowned witch. Like, it's just the whole. Thank God they made it.
Yeah. Yeah, that kind of thing is definitely something you don't want to play with.
It's the whole thing right there, my dude. It's terrifying because if you ever look up this little town, and they'll bring you like on like Google, they'll show you like all like the pretty sites, like the little square downtown, and they'll show you like all the little like more modern stores that they have, like a pizzeria,
Yeah.
giant beautiful statue, nice hotels. But they won't show you like the more rundown parts, which is like part of like the whole, not charm that it has, but like that's what makes it.
Yeah.
They have maybe like one street light per street, so you never really want to be outside during the night. But pretty much, if you talk to anybody there, they'll have a perfect ghost story for you. They'll have a demon story, skinwalker story, something about a witch messing with them. Yeah, it's a very big place for like ghosts and whatnot.
Well, I mean, and you know, ghosts are definitely an interesting thing, being they could either be residual or intelligent, but when it comes to demons, them, you just never know what the hell they want, whether they want to try and, you know, kill you and take your soul, whether they just want to play with you, toy with you, hurt you. Like, you never know what's going to happen.
That's the whole thing, man, because ghosts is just displaced energy. In my opinion, that's what I think it is. So, I mean, everybody's made up of energy, and when you die, it's got to go somewhere. And if you're able to maintain the majority of your energy, you should become a ghost. But a lot of people, too, they say around that wash where I was telling you, where the Ugelia, which she would throw herself to turn into a cat, like the dried wash, that when it does rain, it like floods like bad, and it runs through like the back of people's properties.
Yeah.
And the families that don't have as much money, like they don't want to pay for like running water, they'll bring the kids down to the thing and like right at the shore, they'll like wash them and they'll wash their clothes. But there's also a story about how this kid, how like in the early 80s, one of the families had taken down their kids. In Mexico, families is never like one or two kids. It's always like 6 or 7.
Yeah.
It's a whole group of them. And this family had taken their kids down to the little river, little wash, so they can wash. And one of the kids, he was playing around by the shore, and he went in too deep. So the current just kind of swept him under.
Yeah.
So they say every time, like before like it starts to flood again, like when it's still dry, they'll see a little boy like playing right by like where the shore would be in the dry, but it's like dry. And I think that's pretty cool though. Like, well, not cool that the kid died, but it's crazy. Like when they die in like a certain way, that their energy is always going to be attached to that one area. Like people, they'll tell you that they see this kid like all the time.
Yeah.
But it's insane. Like a kid died there. Like they didn't retrieve the body. They didn't know where it was. It's probably like washed down like miles away. And that sucks because the family never had that kind of closure. They never had like a body to bury. So like, would that be its unfinished business? That it never got its burial or?
I mean, that's where it's hard to say because you never really know. I mean, that could be part of it, but I mean, there could have been something that, you know, that kid was meant to do that day. Maybe he was supposed to keep someone else from drowning, and in turn, you know, that's what he did by his getting swept away. So now he's there. Maybe that's his permanent spot. Like he's there as a warning. People see him and they know, oh, well, hey, it might start flooding, and you know we need to stay away.
Yeah, like a little postmark. Like, be careful.
Yeah, like a little lighthouse of sorts.
Yeah, it's like a little guiding spirit. That's crazy. I never thought about it like that.
I mean, there's many different kinds. Some want to lead you on a good path. Some want to scare the shit out of you. Some are mischievous. Some are violent. Some are... I mean, they can go in so many different directions.
Yeah, that's the crazy part about it, though, is you'll never know what you get.
Yeah,
You go through like a box of chocolate, you never know what you're gonna get.
Yeah, no, that is true. It's, you just got to see what happens and kind of go from there. And I mean, if you move into a haunted place, try and do what you can to figure out what you can. But
Yeah,
I mean,
but
other than
also
that,
still be respectful at a point.
Yeah, I mean, never, like I said, never taunt a ghost, never make fun of a ghost. Because at that point, they can do way more to you than you can do.
Yeah. You can come with your little bundle of sage, but I don't think that's going to do anything to the ghost.
Oftentimes, that just pisses them off.
Yeah.
At least these days.
It's like trying to pepper spray them, but like slightly missing.
Yeah. Yeah, it just doesn't work. But that's... I don't know, man. That's another thing. I've been around that shit for so long, it's ridiculous. Between hauntings in old houses, hauntings in the current house, hauntings at fucking work, having my name whispered in my ear at job locations, it's
that's
creepy as hell.
terrifying. The ghost down at the where we work at.
Oh yeah, that's
my little buddy.
yeah, he, she, it, whatever, really loves you.
Oh yeah, that's fun. Should we share the arena story?
Yeah, might as well get that story out there while we're on the subject.
All right. So one of these days, one of the days, me and my buddy here, we're closing up, and we're taking off. We turn off all the lights down where we work at, and we're walking through like the main part of the building, and he stopped by the lights. He was still by the lights. I think he was turning fans off. And I decided to cut through the middle of the building just so I can get to the door faster. And we have these rollers that push the product forward off of the, what would you call it, like the rackings?
Yeah, it's kind of, it's shelves, but yeah, instead of being a flat surface, yeah, they got rollers on them.
So these are fairly thick rollers, and they won't move unless somebody's pushing the product forward. And I'm walking, and from behind me, I start hearing like a bunch of rollers starting going crazy, like heavy rolling, heavy rolling, heavy rolling. And at the time, we thought it was one of our friends that works with us, because he had disappeared on us maybe like 2 minutes earlier.
Yeah, just about.
Yeah, and we thought it was just him like hiding behind the racking, just pushing stuff forward, just messing with us. So we go over and we check behind the racking just to make sure he's not there, because we thought he was just hiding. So we turn the corner behind the racking, and he's not there. There's no one behind there. And so we're like, all right, he probably just ran off or whatnot. So we go back through the middle of the racking just to kind of go into the main building. And we hear the rollers again, and we look through, and we're looking like under the shelves, like around the shelves. And there's no one there, so they're moving by themselves at this point. So we're like, all right, that's kind of creepy. I was like, let's go inside the main building. And we walk into the main building, and I go to clock out, and
he comes out of the bathroom.
He comes out of the bathroom by the lockers. And we asked him, like, you messing with us? He's like, no, dude. He's like, I've been in here for like the last 10 minutes. Like, I've just been trying to kill time until I can clock out. And I thought that was terrifying, but we got a couple more experience with our friend, little ghost buddy.
The best one was, I can't remember, did the power go out that day when we walked down the one aisle and we're hearing like the clinging behind us? The clinking, or was that just another end of day?
That was another end of day. We had shut the lights off, and we had to go back to grab your keys.
Oh, yeah. Fucking keys.
So we had gone through the main bay, which, how long would you say that the aisles are? Maybe like 100 feet each aisle?
I would say the aisle is probably a good 100 feet to the first like little breezeway section that you can cut through. But I would say...
Like in total?
In total, probably 250, 300, yeah.
So we decided to cut through there because we think it's going to be a lot faster than just walking through like the whole mid-building. And we start walking, and then we start hearing clinging behind us, like someone's dropping like keys right behind us. So we turn around, there's nothing there. And so we're like, all right, let's just walk forward quicker. And we start walking, and we start hearing the clinging from like next to us now. And we don't want to stop at this point to try to look through like the rack and see if somebody's messing with us.
Yeah.
So we keep walking. We're maybe like in the second section, I want to say.
Yeah.
So we're maybe like halfway through the racking to get into the main building. And then we start hearing the clinking from in front of us. And at that point I was like, you know what, I'm cutting out here. I'm going through the middle of the building.
Where there's a little more light. Because down in these these aisles, there's no light sources. Once the lights are out, there's no source of daylight
I
because
mean,
it's a
there's
closed
light
warehouse.
like at the big fan at the end, like the extractor fan.
Yeah, but that's even
Yeah.
barely, and the only other light is a bright red exit sign that shines a bright red light down the back of
Terrifying.
the aisles. Well, and the weird thing is we don't work with anything that's chains. The only chains we have are plastic,
Yeah,
and they make an
plastic.
actual, like, click sound, not like someone dropping, metal on metal.
Yeah, and at this point, when we had gone back to grab the keys, the only other person there was who was it? Our assistant manager, right?
Yeah.
The assistant manager at the time, and we had told him we were running back to grab the keys, if you like, just to keep an eye out. And this dude ain't leaving the office, so he was in his office, and I think he was making like some phone calls that I had forgotten to make.
It was either that or, because normally when we're the last ones there, he's waiting for us by the alarm to set it for us to clock out so we can get the hell out of there.
Yeah. So that's terrifying to know that something was pretty much just following us that whole time through the wrecking.
Well, there's the time you heard,
My
your name whispered.
like, right behind me.
There's a time of, when an ex-employee that no one really enjoyed very much used to work there. She used to hear her name getting called all the time. Her mom saw that black shadow in the office.
Yeah, then the previous assistant manager has the video of the candy bar getting launched in the middle of the building.
Oh, yeah. Literally, you see one of the workers walk by, doesn't even touch this thing. You see the candy bar fall to the ground. And then, it's like someone grabbed it while it was on the ground and just threw it across the floor.
Yeah, because it was in the mid building on the previous worker's desk, and that just like flies off. Like, he's got the video like slow mo. It's crazy to watch, like, because you think at first it's the worker that tosses it.
Yeah.
But no, the workers just minding their own business, putting bags on trash cans. And the candy bar flies from like right behind them, which is kind of terrifying.
Yeah, that place is definitely interesting. Like, I've walked out there by myself. There was a time where, same thing, I forgot keys I forgot my phone. And we had already turned the lights off, and it was just me and our assistant manager there. And literally, I'm walking the building by myself, and, for the most part, like the arena, you get kind of that chills and that,
Kind of like misplaced energy. Kind of feeling in there.
eyes watching you, and then you get to those aisles, and it's just even stronger. And then I get to my side, where lights automatically turn on.
Yeah.
But then it's like as soon as those go away, it's just that feeling of, I don't want to say dread, because it's not
But
quite
it's
there.
more like a steady panic setting in.
Yeah,
Like,
uneasy
you
feeling.
want to get out of that area.
Yeah.
Like I remember one time I was going from shipping actually to scan some paperwork to from your area, and I was walking back, and this is like all the lights already turned off because the assistant manager wants to go home at this point.
Yeah.
We've been there for maybe like 20-30 minutes after everybody's already taken off because like I said, my printer, my scanner on my side wasn't working. So I'm walking back from your side to actually just send the email from my computer.
Yeah.
And I hear stomping coming from your area. And the assistant manager's sitting in the office. And the terrifying part about it was the lights were fully on. Like, I'm hearing the stomping. I'm hearing, like, little whispers coming from, like, your area.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to turn back and check that out. And I turn. As soon as I turn, I feel something in my body tell me, nah, don't go over there. You're not going to like what you find.
Yeah.
So I turn back around and I start walking. And I think this was actually was it the same day that I heard I'm calling my name from behind me, and I thought it was you waiting to pop out at me from behind a pallet. And now it turns out you weren't even anywhere near me.
No, that must have been a different day, because that day I was still there. And I remember it was like the other coworker situation. You're coming in, I hear the door open, and I'm walking out of the bathroom. And I remember you come up to me and you're
it
like,
must have been a different day then.
yeah, and you come up to me and you're like, oh, fuck no, no, fuck that. And I'm like, dude, what? And that's when you tell me about the whispers and you thought it was me. And I'm like, no, I've been in here, for a good 5-10 minutes. Like, I was not out in that warehouse.
Yeah, no, but on this day, when I turned back, the assistant manager was watching on cameras. And when I get back into the office, he's like, why'd you turn back? I was like, dude, I could have sworn I heard something from behind that area. And I was going to have him check cameras to see if he can find anything on both. But at the same time, I don't want to be like, if he finds something, I'm not going to be able to go back to work there.
Well, and the thing is, there's times where we're all gone and he still has to do a walkthrough. I wonder what stuff he has seen or heard of that he just doesn't want to admit or talk about.
Yeah, because he seemed like a skeptic dude. Like, he always wants to put, like, an explanation to everything. Like, oh, no, it was this, it was this, it was this. Even when he can't explain it,
Yeah.
he'll try to throw something out and be like, that doesn't make sense. And he's like, well, that's probably what it is. So, you gotta come more with, like, an open mind towards this stuff. But it's good to be, like, a skeptic. Don't go with, like, full in, like, oh, it's ghost.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, you can't go to an investigation and, someone like burps or farts and you're like, oh God, there was a ghost.
Let's read the heat signatures.
Yeah.
Oh God, especially smelly in this area.
Yeah, it's one of those where that just doesn't work.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think that spirits can be attached to people?
Yes.
Do you
They
think
actually can be attached to
ghosts,
people.
or do you think it's like demons, or do you think it's both?
I mean, they say kind of both, because I know spirits can... It's one of those things, where you can be out in a haunted location, get mixed up with a spirit, and it follows you home. So...
To be honest, I think that spirits that follow people around are... it usually happens to people that have been, like, near-death experiences, and what I've been around. Because my older brother, he had died a couple of times. He was in a coma for a while.
Mm.
And he passed away a couple of times, and he seems to have a spirit that follows him from wherever he goes. Like, he'll move to one place, to another place, to another place, and he'll have the exact same thing. And not my oldest sister, but the one that's 2 years older than me.
Yeah.
We'll call her M.A.
There you go.
She also has a spirit that follows her around wherever we go. Like, from where we're living together, like in my mother's house, to the old apartment we were at, to this new one even. We just moved in. And, first 2 days that we've been here, I saw a little shadow in her room because I thought it was her, and I was trying to talk to her, trying to find out where my socks went. And I was, talking to her because I had seen her, face on, from here to maybe, I want to say maybe 10 feet from where I'm sitting right now.
Yeah.
I had seen her, plain as day, just walk right by. And I'm I'm talking to her, and I'm getting frustrated at this point. I was like, have you seen my socks? And I go in there to try to talk to her, and her lights are off, bathroom lights are off, closet lights are off. I was like, she ain't in here. And the whole thing with that is I've seen that specific, I don't want to say ghost, because I don't want to, the specter, let's call it that.
There you go.
That looks exactly like her, a couple of times actually when we lived together. And the whole thing was she was supposed to be a twin, but our other sister, she died in the womb because my mom was in a car crash when they were younger, when they were still in the womb, and her twin died. So I always think she has that spirit attached to her. Do you think when you die, because they say your spirit leaves your body, do you think something tries to pry itself in you, and then when you come back from dead, you kind of have that attached, or do you think it's just something that's always going to be attached to you?
I think if anything, if it's from near-death experiences, it's something that attached itself to your spirit, not tried to, take over your body. And it's also one of those things where it often happens to people that have been in, had a lot of trauma in their life. It doesn't have to be death, but a lot of pain, a lot of suffering, a lot of just damage.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where that can cause that kind of thing to happen. It's the same with some demonic things that go on. You're you've been around stuff so much and you've created so much anger
It's
and
like an
hate.
energy that it's kind of feeding off of.
Yeah, you manifest
Alright,
it
that makes
yourself.
sense. A while back, I was working at the Boys and Girls Club, and at this time, I was going through some heavy depression and anxiety.
Yeah.
Where like I was to the point where like I didn't want to I couldn't function at this point. Like I was just like no energy. Like I was sad all the time. Like I was depressed.
Yeah.
And then I was just kind of like trying to hold it back the whole time. Like I don't want to let it out. Like I don't want to cry. I don't want to feel anything like that. And one of these points, I had to go back to work. I'd always got out like at 7 or 8, but this time I was there till like 11 at night because we had come back from a baseball game with the kids, and I had to wait for the parents to come pick them up. And I was just waiting there with the kids, and I was sitting. I was like, all right, cool. And then I had to wait for my boss to come back in to set all the alarms. So I was just sitting in the front office, and the way it's set up is my gym where I was running was off to the right side. It was a huge gym, double doors into the main office, and I'd always seen stuff there too. There was like a little, I don't want to say a little ghost girl, but that's what it was, a little ghost girl that would run around the gym.
Yeah.
When I was just sweeping up, trying to clean up, and I would see her like in my office window, like the reflection. But she was always more like a playful kind of spirit. Like she'd roll a ball like across, and that's always kind of fun to just be like, oh look, check this ghost out.
Yeah,
But,
instead of oh, my back hurts. Oh, why do I have these scratches down it?
Yeah, why do I feel like I'm choking? But and I think this is the part where I had messed up too, because we had a sleepover with the young adults leadership group,
Yeah.
which was like the teenagers, because they had to run through a program, and then as a reward, they were able to stay the night at the clubhouse. It's like sleep overnight, and they'd be able to play like their Fortnite game or whatever that is. And one of the things that they wanted to do was they wanted to do a spirit box in the gym because they knew the little girl. But that's where I messed up, because I didn't believe in like, oh, you can mess with ghosts like that. Like, don't summon them. Don't try to like contact them directly.
Yeah.
And that's where I had messed up. So we had a little spirit box, and we were going in the gym, and in the restrooms with the lights off, trying to talk to something. And I'm not sure how accurate a spirit box is, but we got some words out of this, and it wasn't the little girl. It was an older, like it had like a man's voice, and his name was Miller. And when we were talking to Miller, the areas where we talked to him would get freezing cold. I mean, it's Arizona where it's like hot all the time.
Yeah, there is no such thing as freezing cold here.
No, unless you got air conditioning, even like that. That's if.
Big if.
But yeah, it would be freezing, and one of the students said that he had felt like something like grabbed him, and when he went to show us, like on his back was like red marks, not like handprints, but like burn marks. So we decided not to do that anymore. We were going to bed, and then we were missing a couple of the kids, and then they decided to get what was called a Pazuzu board, which, if you know what it is, it's like a Ouija board, but for a specific demon instead of like a spirit.
Yeah.
So they decided to play with one of those online and whatnot. So I think that's kind of what like triggered it, because that's when I started feeling like more like depressed and more like anxious, because they had done this in the gym where I had to work every single day.
Yeah.
And back to this point where it was like a month or two after the sleepover, that's when I started getting like really depressed, like really bad and whatnot. I had tried to just kind of like keep it back. I'm like, oh, it's just depression, when I never clicked into my head till this night.
Yeah.
Where I was sitting there, it was maybe like 10:30, 11. I'm just trying to go home. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I start hearing banging in the gym, like, because we had left the basketball out, and just poof, 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 like slamming on the floor. And I was like, oh, this little ghost girl, I guess. And then I hear her go poof against the double doors facing the office. I was like, alright, that ain't ghost girl. She doesn't do stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then I started hearing like smashing on like the, what is it called, where all the kids sit, the bleachers.
Yeah.
We had left the bleachers open, And I heard Smash like stomping on that, which I had never heard. I had been working there for like 2 years. And like first night I had heard Little Ghost Girl, like it was pretty much every single night. But she was nothing like that. It was never anything like
drastic.
Yeah, like I always felt like safe, and I was like, oh, this is just a friendly spirit that's just here for some reason. But I was terrified. I felt like in danger. And I was like, did somebody get inside the building? When I was like looking, I was like, that can't happen because all the doors are locked, the sensors are set, and the only door that's open that isn't locked is this main door where I'm sitting in the office. Nobody got in, nobody got out.
Yeah.
So I was like, I can't do this, and I started feeling like real anxious, like I'm terrified at this point.
Yeah.
So I get my phone light and I turn on the gym and I'm trying to see what the hell's going on in there, see if I can see any kids or anything. And against better judgment, I open the door.
Why?
The double doors. Curiosity, man, if I'm being honest. I wanted to know what was in there because I don't want to lock the building and have somebody in here and steal all our stuff.
Did you not have the ability to just like flip a switch and turn on some of the gym lights?
So the whole thing is the gym lights, to access them, I have to physically cross through the gym.
Oh.
Yeah, and I'm not going to walk through a dark gym because the whole building's dark at this point except the front office where the lights are. And to reach those gym lights, I have to cross through the gym, through the little back hallway, into the bathrooms, hit the switches by the door. So at this point, I'm not going to go do all that. So I just turn the light on and nothing's in there, but I'm still hearing the smashing of the bleachers. So I close the door, I lock it, and then I go outside. Instead of sitting in the office, I go outside by like the little, like the sidewalk.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm just going to wait for her here. It's like, it's not a safe neighborhood, but I mean, it's going to be safer than whatever's in there.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. You know what could happen, what it could have done, I mean, it's hard to say.
To an extent, I think it might have attached itself for a while. Because as soon as I left from there, I was driving home and I called my sister MA, and I'm just letting her know what happened. She's like, she tells my mom's heavily religious, so she's like, it's something bad. He's like, you just gotta pray. You gotta just cleanse yourself with like a prayer. It's like, I'll pray for you on the phone right now. So I'm driving, and I pass this bridge. It's you know where the Dave and Buster's at?
The new one?
The one by the, like, all the Century Mark and all that, by the movie theater.
Yeah, Costco.
Yeah, by there. You know that bridge off to the side?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm driving past that, and as soon as I cross that bridge, my mom starts praying for me. She's like, all right, God is like, protect my son, anything attached to him, remove it from him now. And as soon as she says that, I start bawling, like, full-on anxiety, like, panic attack. Like, I'm having trouble breathing. I'm full-on, like, crying tears. And this was the most terrifying moment that I think I've ever experienced. Because at this moment, I feel like something, like, choking me, like, or hands around my neck. And I have to pull over, and I'm crying, and I can't, it's like I can't even, like, talk. And then my mom's like, what's wrong? I was like, I'm having it. And I tell her, like, I'm able to, like, mutter the words anxiety attack in Spanish. And she's like, where are you? Where are you? And she's like, well, you were driving for this long. It's like, you must be here. Because I take the same route home every single time. And they eventually meet me. I'm a wreck. Like, I can't even talk. And Mom's like, it's just anxiety and depression that's on you. But like I said, I didn't have that anxiety depression. Like, I had it when I was, like, younger.
Yeah.
But I, like, after that point, like, middle school is when I had this. Like, high school, I was fine. Like, the rest of middle school, like, young adulthood, I was fine. It wasn't until that night, which I'm thinking, when the kids played the Pazuzu board, and I had gone back into the gym just to be like, get out of here, let's go. And after a while, my hands are, like, shaky. I hate telling the story. And after a while, those kids, the 2-3 kids that done that, they used to behave real bad, dude.
Really?
Yeah, they were, like, generally, like, my favorite kids. Like, they were always, like, super helpful, but, like, their behavior, like, declined. Like, and I don't want to be like, oh, it's a demon that's in them, but, I mean, that's coincidence right there at its best.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's things you don't mess with.
Yeah, there's things you don't understand, man. That's some heavy stuff. But we ended up kicking 2 of those kids out, actually, because they beat up another kid, like, bad. Like they just kicked his ass, dude. And the other one, he was starting to like level out a bit more, but like his mom was like really like strict and like hard on him.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's terrifying, dude. Like if they did open something there, and like I said, I left that job a while back and I'm working at the new place here. So hopefully it wasn't me that brought that with us.
I mean,
I doubt it, because I think it's been there since before I started there, and I've been there like 2 years.
yeah, and I mean, if anything, if it would have been something that's more attached to you, you would be more so the one to experience stuff, not really anybody else.
Because if you think,
Well, but I mean, I've, heard stuff
it's
too.
been
I've
other
seen
people too,
stuff,
though.
and yeah, I mean, like I said, the one worker, her mom, you, myself, our boss, our old assistant manager, who knows what, like I said, the new assistant manager is seeing. It's hard to say because he's not going to admit to anything.
yeah, he's real skeptic.
So it's one of those things that we'll just have to, I don't know, see what happens. I still want to take this thing and see if we can't catch any EVPs over there one of these days.
I love you, man, but you're on your own with that one. I'll sit in the office and I'll wait for you there. I'll watch camera.
Yeah, that's not enough. That's one thing is you never... Sorry, that I picked up something on the mic. Actually, I want to go back when we're done with this. Partway in, I could have sworn I heard like a laughing. I just didn't say anything.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, so we're gonna check that out here shortly. But no, I mean, it's one of those things where general rule of thumb is you're never supposed to do any sort of investigation or session alone.
Yeah.
Just because if you are in a situation where it is say a malevolent entity, be it a demon, just a ghost that's up to no good, then if something goes wrong, at least if you have a person there, typically they can help in some form of way, be it, prayer, or if it's something that's trying to mess with your mind, they can kind of snap you into your senses. And if it's just you, then you're kind of left to your own vices. And if you don't really know much, then you're kind of SOL.
Yeah. That's where people go missing. And he was never seen from again.
Yeah. Dateline NBC.
Dateline NBC. 16 minutes right there.
Yeah, exactly.
So, man, send Barbara Walters on some ghost investigations. I'd pay money to see that.
Yeah,
Straight interviewing ghosts.
that probably wouldn't end well.
For the ghost.
Yeah, that is true. She's a nightmare
She's a
herself.
tough lady.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much time we got left here, but I got one more story, man. I just popped in my mind. It's a short story.
All right.
So in Mexico, in like the middle of Mexico, in Guadalajara,
Yeah.
it's there's a giant church. I can't remember what it's called. I'll get you that information for the if we do a second session here.
Oh, we definitely will.
For sure, man. For sure. I'll get you more on that information. But so the story goes that there was a little girl who wanted to get what's it called with Catholics? Not
Like baptized?
It's kind of like baptized, but they wanted first communion. She wanted to do her first communion.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And her father was really against. Her father's like strict atheist, but with this little girl, she wanted it more than anything. She wanted it just to be in the church. She wanted to be like a member of it. She wanted all her friends were in it. So
Kind of that acceptance.
yeah. And so because all her friends were in it too, she's like, oh, might as well.
Yeah.
But she ended up doing it behind her father's back, and he got mad. He like beat her to death. Like,
Oh, Jesus.
yeah, like he literally beat her to death over like this simple thing that she wanted to express her religion, and that's like a big thing. Is in Mexico, it's respect. Like even if your parents, like even if they're wrong, like dead wrong, if they tell you no, it's fucking no. But yeah, no, he beat her to death, dude. And I'm not sure if they sainted her, but in the church I'm telling you about in Guadalajara, they have her body. Like they preserved her body, and it's like in a dress, and she looks just like a regular kid, dude. Like she has like that gloss, but other than that, she looks like just a regular kid.
Is it that
The one I was
there's-
telling you about.
But there's one of those that's actually like a famous thing that's kind of renowned, where they have this body of a girl and it's preserved. But I don't know if it's that one or a different one.
You might be thinking of the wedding dress one.
Oh yeah, probably.
Yeah, for the people listening who don't know, I'll explain that one after this first story. But the church, because of her sacrifice to Catholicism, she gave up her life for what she believed in, for Jesus, for God. They preserved her and they keep her in the church in like this like glass kind of like casket sort of thing. And people go and they pray to her just for, like, guidance. And there's actually a video that I want to show you sometime where they're like just videotaping her and she opens her eyes. Like plain as day, she opens her eyes, like, because her eyes are like closed, and she just like opens them and then closes them back. And then it's a lot of people like, it's a miracle, it's amazing, but personally I think it's terrifying.
Yeah, I'd be like, fuck that, that's freaky.
I was like, all right guys, time to put her in the ground.
If this is going on in a church, then apparently those aren't as much of a safe haven from paranormal as we think they are.
Yeah, but that's the whole thing, though. Some people think it's like a miracle that she's doing that, but other people think it's like the church is corrupt then. If it's dead things aren't supposed to move like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a whole other topic that can be gone in depth with. Religion being corrupt these days. But I mean, I don't know. I think if that kind of thing is going on in a church, then again, what hope do you have when you find something outside of the church?
Yeah, pretty much, man. But I'll show you this video sometime tomorrow, maybe, when we have time. Just remind me. But she opens her eyes plain as day. Everybody's like super excited about it. But when I see it, I get more like a panic, kind of like, that's not normal. It's like, a lot of people will be like, oh, it's a miracle, but like I said, I feel like a panic about it.
You shouldn't open your eyes, you're dead. Let them be closed.
Pretty much, man. But the one you're thinking about, the story you're thinking about, is also in Mexico. I just love how messed up things happen in Mexico, man.
It's seeming that way.
Super ghost. But the way you're thinking about it is that this lady owns a wedding dress store, and her daughter, on her wedding day, she was putting on her dress and she got like bit by a black widow, and she ended up dying like on her wedding day, which is like super fucked up.
Oh, no. I know this one. This one is a famous one too, yeah, where they think her body is the mannequin that's used in the story.
Yeah, where they say it's supposedly they preserved the body and she's the mannequin.
Yeah, because
Like
if
the
you
main
look at the
mannequin.
nails and shit, they look extremely realistic.
Yeah, and the eyes and all that, and they have like footage of it moving and whatnot.
Yeah, no, I mean, there is that one, but there's another one,
A different one.
of a body that's in a church. And that's why I just wasn't sure if it was the same one or
Yeah,
if
'cause
there's
there's
a
a-
different one.
There's a bunch of them, dude. Because in Magdalena, they have a saint's body. They like to have his actual bones, like in a giant, like kind of like glass viewing area where you can see like his final like resting place where he died. And they have that, and which I think is kind of morbid, but to Mexican people, it's like you're visiting a saint, like a real saint. Like his body's right there, like you can see him.
Yeah, but if you can't talk to him or get a prayer from him, then I don't know, is it still the same thing?
See, man, that's the whole thing. I don't understand, because I'm not Catholic. Like, I can't really get that point of view, and because I grew up Catholic, but that's when I was a kid. I didn't believe in. It was just something my parents made me go and do. But I don't really have like that point of view, like praying to saints for stuff. That's,
Yeah, no, I can understand that one.
Yeah, man, but that's the whole thing. It's with saints, because everybody's like, oh, saint this, saint that, saint this. The only saints I really know of is Saint Martin and Saint Teresa. And like Saint Martin, I don't know anything about him, but Saint Teresa, I know she was like that nun lady, but turns out she was doing like real shady stuff as well. Which I was like, you guys sainted this woman? Like, I guess she did a lot for people and then all that, but there's some real shady stuff that she did as well. Like, I'd encourage people to do some research on that, but
Yeah, most definitely. Research is always helpful.
yeah, man. But I don't know, man. I'm drawing a blank on which body you're saying. We might do some research on this as well.
Yeah, we'll have to look it up and then bring it into a new episode. Because, yeah, I don't remember where it is. I don't remember if it's in Mexico, if it's
Man, it probably
in
is.
Spain, if it's... I know it's not in the U.S. That's all I know.
Yeah, man, it might be Mexico. And there's a lot of fucked up things in Mexico. They're real morbid about all their shit.
Yeah, like I said, it definitely sounds like it. But we'll go ahead and call that an episode for tonight. And then we'll come back with some more stories, some more research on what those... or what that one that I'm thinking of is, and try and figure out that story, because I know it's pretty creepy as well. I think she's in even like a red dress, if I remember right.
Oh, man, that's terrifying. It's going to be fun trying to get to sleep tonight.
Well, I have full faith in you.
But some TV on right now. Just cartoons to go to sleep.
There you go. Bambi.
Some baby.
But I appreciate you being on, sir, and we'll definitely see you on in the next one as well.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. Thank you again.